All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about why crypto interest is so low and what needs to be done. Yes, there are other factors like perps, um, leverage, and prediction markets, which are stealing the gambling crowd away from crypto. But there is another reason. And the fact is, and it has to do more with altcoins, is the fact that altcoins have not delivered. I'm not just talking about price. I mean, I've been in this market since late 2017, early 2018. And all I've heard for the last 8, 9 years, all this time in the market, and I believed it for roughly half that time, maybe a little bit more, is that, the utility, like everything was going to be run by crypto. And because of that, the transaction volume was going to somehow create scarcity, even though I never really got explained to you how that actually worked. And when you look at the tokenomics, it doesn't actually work. How that was going to create scarcity, and that was going to get our coins to moon, and we were going to be rich, and all these great cryptos had like all these big projections about utility, use case, and that was the name of the game in the 2018 bull run. Outside of the masternode coins, that was the name of the game, and people ate it up. They're like, oh yeah, XRP is going to take over the financial system. Ethereum is going to run like so many big corporations, and that's going to create a lot of scarcity, and that's going to drive the price up. And that worked for a while because both in the 2017 and 2021 bull run, Ethereum did actually run into like log jams. And because Ethereum did run into log jams, the price did actually go way up. But it was a while before I figured out that's because the Ethereum technology is crippled and not because Ethereum is actually like a great chain. Basically, that happened because it can only get to 21 TPS. So therefore, at least at that time, once you got that congestion and you couldn't relieve it with L2s for whatever reason, people had to bid the price up. It was basically the fact that it was slow and inefficient that actually drove the price up, not because it was an amazing product or there were like too many people wanting to use it. Because let's be honest, 21 TPS isn't much. If Ethereum was 1,000 TPS, like all these chains are now, we would have never had that problem and the price would have never gone up that much because people wouldn't have kept bidding it up. And that's what I want to get to. These cryptos have failed to deliver on the utility and the price that comes with the utility, and those are two different things, although most cryptos have failed on both. I mean, I've looked at Hedera as one example. They actually have some of the partnerships in the utility, and they've actually had companies actually sign on with their advisory board, and other partnerships sign on. They've gotten to 1,000 TPS with one of their logistics partners. Chainlink is another prime example. CCIP, the DTCC, Swift, they're all using CCIP. So they're like of the second better example, but still a crappy example because they're examples of, yes, we got the utility, money's flowing through our coins, but you know what? It's not affecting price. And what we discovered after we unraveled it is like, yes, the foundations might make money and they might have partnerships. And if there are stock investors in the company, they might make money. But us as crypto investors, we get left out in the cold because it doesn't require that many coins or doesn't require any coins. Now, for Hedera, it does actually require some coins because of the burn. But what I've like done the calculations, and realistically, it doesn't actually matter how much TPS there is. You're never really going to get to a burn amount where it's actually going to affect price. With Chainlink, I don't even know what the heck's going on there. Like, it doesn't seem like regardless of how many people are paying that DeFi, the price doesn't really go up, and it's just completely because of FOMO. And those are the better examples. You have other examples with like VeChain and XRP where they got like some token adoption, but they really don't have that much adoption, and they're just kind of like projecting. Now, I stopped believing VeChain a long time ago, and because XRP's like hype was so ridiculous, I never really believed it. I stopped believing in VeChain once Sonny didn't do the DeFi stuff, and I saw the UFC stuff and the logistics stuff. Despite how much that was burning, was never going to actually have like a scarcity in Vitho. And like throughout the years, I've also discovered that these chains aren't really meant to have the whole scarcity and burning thing, because that would run counter to what the company's actual objectives are. The companies want to get these contracts and they want to like have these like technical fees, and that means they want people to actually use the chain. And that means the chain can't be all that expensive, because if it's expensive to use, then these corporations won't actually use them, and they can't collect fees and actually get rich. But that doesn't do us any good because we do actually want more transactions and this stuff to get scarce, so the price will go up. But the problem is if the price goes up, then less people are likely to actually use the chain. And Hedera actually defines this pretty well. They, their fee it remains stable, and it's very, very insignificant. But the thing is, if you have a lot of congestion, that actually kind of might be problematic. So their chain can super scale. But the thing is, even at 30, 40, 50, 100,000 TPS, it's never really going to matter for the price. And like I said, Chainlink, I don't really know what's going on. XRP is falls in the second category where you just strung people along with theoretical utility. But because right now no one actually uses XRP for cross-border transfers, and they've all turned to stablecoins. And Ripple, for their part, has already made another stablecoin to actually compete. Now, RLUSD might eventually be a big competitor, but most of it's minted on Ethereum, which means it uses Ethereum gas fees. The RLUSD that's minted on Ethereum does not interact at all with XRPL. And it's more and more clear to me now that their future is actually an RLUSD and not XRP. They're essentially using XRP as a cash bag to actually fund the creation of more RLUSD or just to sell so they can buy companies to expand their portfolio and increase their business. But that increase has not really resulted in XRP price. I know some people are excited because they got that pump back in November of 24, and that was a good pump. It got them back up to the 2018 prices. But remember, these theories of mass utility had us going to hundreds or thousands of dollars every single year since 2018, and obviously that never ever happened, and it's never really going to get close to happening. People were really, really excited about FedNow, and somehow Ripple and XRP was using the plumbing. That was obviously false. FedNow transacts billions and trillions of dollars. XRP has no part in that. Swift, obviously, they have some projects with Linea and also with Chainlink, different type of things, but nothing with XRP. And now they're we're going to replace Swift. That is honestly not going to happen. And everything they're doing with international transfers, they're doing with RLUSD instead of XRP. And once again, RLUSD is mostly minted on Ethereum, not XRP Ledger. So essentially, you have a lot of things that are the XRP Ledger that are theoretical utility, but somehow these influencers keep on hooking people onto this hope. It was when the Temenos thing turns on with Sam I Am in the first place. That happened, nothing. And then it was DTCC signed some kind of contract with Ripple. BTCC went live with their system in 2021, nothing happened. And then it was Bank of America has partnerships with us, and when that partnership activates in 2022 or something, that was going to moon us. Didn't happen. And then when the lawsuit ends, it's actually going to moon us. But the weird thing about that is when Gary Gensler stepped down, that's actually when it started to pump. But when the actual lawsuit ended last year in 2025, I think mid-year, when it was dropped under the new chairman, it didn't pump at all. So the actual regulatory clarity had really no impact on the price. And then now it's once the Clarity Act passes, that's when we're going to move and we're going to get all the companies to use us, and that's going to pump our utility. I'm wondering what they're going to move on to next once that actually fails. Once the Clarity Act passes, a couple months, unless Bitcoin pumps, if Bitcoin stays low or drops lower, XRP drops right along with it. I wonder what excuse they're going to make and what they're going to go to next, because the ISO 20022 thing is already dead. That narrative is dead because they kept on saying this meaning November 2025, big date, ISO is going to blow up, and then all the banks are going to have to use XRP or whatever nonsense they always come up with. And obviously that didn't happen either. So pretty much every single one of these theories failed. The only repump they really got was because Gary Gensler stepped down. And obviously that was after the Trump election, and that was lucky too because Bitcoin was going up at that time as well. It's just XRP got the super pump much more than the other coins because of people saw that the lawsuit was going to be over because the new guy steps in. although the lawsuit wasn't actually over until about 7 months later. And when the lawsuit was actually over, when they actually got clarity, nothing actually happened. So that should have given you the signal that it was really not clarity, regulatory clarity, that was actually keeping the price back. Because if that was the case, they should have pumped up by now. And I think like the lawsuit already gave XRP clarity. It's just like the overall crypto asset thing doesn't quite have clarity now, and they'll get it, but I don't think it's going to do anything to any of the coins, and it's going to be continued to be tethered to Bitcoin. So the thing is, like, after so many failures for utility pumping up the price recently with Canto, I don't think Canton, I don't think that's going to really work. With Hbar, with the 1000 TPS, no price increase. With Chainlink, CCIP, all this adoption, with Linea, with the Swift thing, and with XRP, with all their theories and stuff. You think, after all those failures, people aren't that stupid. They're like, people in general might be pretty stupid. You can fool them for a while, but from 2018 until now, it's been, 8 years, almost a decade. You can't like keep not delivering over the course of a decade and keep people still believing. So I think those fan clubs are actually getting a little smaller. And a lot of people that are in the crypto community are actually catching on to, like myself a couple of years ago, like, hey, this stuff doesn't really matter. And it's a lot of hot air. Now, there are factions like the XRP army that may like never catch on to this and that just might ride it to the end. But for most of us, we're smart enough to actually catch on and see like, yeah, this utility stuff isn't really working out. So like, without that incentive, without that whole thing of like, oh, utility's gonna pump us 1000x, I think a lot of people have just left and they might not be coming back. So we need to attract new people. Now, what do we actually need to do? Well, we could actually do one of two things. One is kind of like what we should do, which is we should actually, all of us influencers should taper down people's expectations and actually tell people the truth, which is crypto is a purely financial product. And you should actually be looking at like some charts and some news and like what range you should actually trade in X period of time, and do the strategy that I've been actually promoting for a while, which is like 2x Bitcoin leverage, or just spot trading Bitcoin or any of the other major coins within a certain range over a certain amount of time. Mine is kind of like 2x Bitcoin leverage, take profits at every like 5 or 10%, and have stop losses at 15% so you don't lose anything. If you look at the last 2 months, if you actually did that, you would have been able to take like 5-10% profit. Well, it's 2x, so it's 10 to 20% profits actually, about 5 or 6 times between like end of November and now. And that's like pretty much doubling your money, right? Doubling your money over 2 months, not bad. It's not 1000x overnight, but we need to actually convince people that crypto is moving out of that stage and more into like a proper financial model stage where it's still more volatile than the stock market. So still more exciting than that, but not like the 1000x overnight market, and get people to like, actually view crypto as the real as another real alternative financial market. Obviously, we got to clean up some stuff, or we leave the meme coins there for the gamblers to actually gamble, and suck people in that way. Like, hey, we're more of a proper market structure now. You can actually look at some of the numbers and the analysis. We're going to be a little bit more transparent, and like influencers do actually have a big play on that because they have a really, really big influence on newbies. And if you get newbies to actually like have those kind of expectations instead of the 1000x expectations, they won't be as disappointed and won't like just buy random ass meme coins hoping for 1000x and then lose all their money. And you can slowly capture a better market that way. Now that's a lot of work and it's a long-term project. Or because crypto people really like volatility, we can go the dark route, which is we somehow convince CZ and other market makers to manipulate the hell even more out of crypto. Yes, remember, I bet you a lot of crypto people are in crypto for just the volatility. And right now, no one's interested because the volatility is very low. You look at the charts from like November 20th until now, the biggest movement has been about 10 or 12%, whereas if you look at the time before that, it was like 20, 30, 40%. Crypto people like that volatility. That is not a bug of the system. That's a feature of the system, and that's why a lot of people trade crypto. And if spot was like fluctuating 20, 30% like always, people wouldn't actually have to go to perps and derivatives. But since the crypto market has actually been less volatile in the recent days. And like, it's just gotten a little bit less volatile over the years. People are moving on to more gambly and more volatile things, perps, leverage, and now prediction markets. So if we can like convince CZ to like manipulate the hell out of crypto, where like each week at least has a 20-30% movement, I think we can get those people back as well. So you can go the good route, convince people right now that they need to look at crypto as an actual financial market, and like, go for the technical gains of like 10-20% or less, or tell CZ to manipulate the hell out of it and get us those 20-30% rises and drops every week. And if we, so, it's your choice. We can go either way, but, if we don't do either one, then people are not going to come back. Even with like lower interest rates, they'll be more interested in crypto, but we don't have that volatility. They're not really going to come back. Or like, if we don't get like the real, like, I guess like more serious investors in, then we're not going to grow the market either. So those are the two choices below you, before you. Let me know which one you actually want. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.